All right, YouTube, etc. Hello, guys. Give me a second here for everything else. Instagram. One moment. Instagram takes a second. There we go. All right, Instagram is live. Let me All right, now I'm going to pull up my Substack. There is my Substack. Excellent. Or yes, there we go. Hey, 4 Substackers. Woo woo. Hey, Substackers. All right, we're pretty good here, I think. Yeah. There we go. All right, good. I got the cameras working. Hey, Ashley. Ashley, Substack Ashley, not to be confused with moderator Ashley. All right, let me get TikTok rolling, and we are good. A little more light, maybe? Maybe a touch. There we go. Touch of light. Touch of light. There we go. All right. TikTok's rolling. Oh, that wasn't too bad. I actually got rolling at a decent time today. Hey, Street Rat. Oh, hey, guys. Hello. Hello, everybody. I will admit to you up front, I'm tired today. I got up early. You know, this is like when the war in Ukraine was first starting, and I would wake up early because there was so much going on. Oh, hey, Paula. Sorry. You're not sure how long you'll be here? What does that mean? What does that mean? The open letter from you to Donald Trump, I did not see that. Oh, hey, Java. Thank you for becoming a new member. Very sweet of you. Thank you. But yeah, I'm warning you, there's probably a guarantee that I'm going to be yawning today. Because I woke up early. It was an hour early, and I was like, I just want to look at the news. And I started looking at the news, and I got sucked in, and that was the end of that. So I got an hour less sleep last night, which probably wasn't the smartest idea. What do you do? Anyway, hey, Dario. So that's okay. Frank in New Zealand, YouTube's canceled your premium and you keep getting ads. Oh, sorry. Yeah, what do I do? I can't help. I've got to have the ads on because honestly, the ads are finally kind of paying off. Now that I'm getting like on the videos and stuff, now that I'm finally getting more viewers with the war, the ads are actually raising some money. I remember this, like, this is my job. Like, this is the only thing that pays for stuff. So sorry about that. I can put the ads a little more conservative for the live. Probably, I can't do it now, but I could possibly later. Anyway, hey Java. Oh, thank you. Oh, wow, for the Ukraine. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Thank you. Hello everybody. Yes, this is we love this cup. This is, it was made by the daughter of one of the viewers, and her daughter was 13 years old in high school and designed it in her shop class. Obviously, they send the mugs off to be made, but designed the actual design of the Ukrainian flag on Photoshop or whatever it was. Salut Gaia, Suisse romande. Oh, ça c'est intéressant. Anyway, yes, so very nice, very nice. No, I know it's annoying. Sorry, I can always try to turn it down a little bit. Anyway, yeah, so I'm a little tired today. I got up early to do work on all this stuff. It got me up early, and now I'm like, oh, Genève. Ah, ok, Genève. Oh, Romande. No, t'as dit Romande, et j'étais pas sûr ce que ça voulait dire. Anyway, okay, guys. I am of Greek descent. Exactly. Other half is Greek and a Republican. Oh, funny. They exist. So anyway, welcome, guys. Welcome. We'll get rolling. John Aravosis here. We have so much news today. I tried cutting a lot of it short from my notes. There's so much news. I apologize in advance. I mean, it's not the end of the world. News is interesting, but there's a lot. So anyway, we're going to get rolling. Welcome to my show. I do this show every Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern. Sometimes we do earlier shows, depending what's going on with the news. Tomorrow, we've got our coffee talk. Remember that. We've got the show tomorrow morning for any of the monthly subscribers. That's all the SNN people on TikTok. Anybody with a green name on YouTube or colored names in general on YouTube. Substack people, you know, if you're monthly subscribers, and also Discord. So we do a hangout for everybody who's a paid subscriber tomorrow as a thank you. That's 11 a.m. Eastern time US, so join us. Anyway, so welcome, guys. We're going to get rolling. I'm John Aravosis. It's my show. We're going to talk about the war in Iran, a little bit of other news too, but mostly the Iran news because that's really the big news still today. Always, please, as I say, please consider keeping the TikToks. I'm tired today. So I am going to screw up, like, because I got up early and I shouldn't have to work on this stuff. And now I'm like, it's wiping me out. It'll be nice to have the weekend a little bit. But keep the gifts coming on TikTok and YouTube and everywhere else. I do this for a living, so your gifts are very much appreciated. Thank you. I will try to do a shout out when I see them. With no further ado, let's get rolling. So there's several big stories today. All surrounding Iran. The Russians, Washington Post reported and others confirmed, the Russians are providing intelligence to the Iranians to help them target U.S. warships, aircraft, and other assets in the region. They are basically helping the Iranians kill Americans. Now, Caroline Leavitt, Trump's, thank you, Mel. Oh, thank you, Mel. That's that's the part. I was always curious what that party laser was. Thank you for that. That's a very generous gift. Thank you. It's a new one, apparently. Caroline Leavitt, who's Trump's spokesperson, the blonde woman, she was asked about it today. You know, the Russians are helping the Iranians target U.S. troops. And she said, frankly, it does not really matter. She argued that, you know, we're doing so well anyway, it doesn't matter if the Russians are helping the Iranians kill our troops. Now, let's put a finer point on this. Donald Trump yesterday lessened sanctions on the Russians. At the same time, the Russians are helping the Iranians try to kill Americans. Trump is lessening the sanctions. He's removing some of the oil sanctions on the Russians to try to make it easier for the Russians to sell oil, and because those poor Russians, it's really, and then get this, and then Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, gets asked today. Thank you, Ravenel. The Treasury Secretary gets asked today about Russia and all of this and the sanctions, and adds, "We may unsanction other Russian oil too." Oh, Sadie, that's insane. Thank you for that one. That was very cool. So they're thinking of basically lifting even more sanctions on Russia as a thank you, I guess, for trying to kill American soldiers in the Middle East. Really just so inappropriate. I mean, again, if Russia is trying to get U.S. soldiers killed, then you've got to do more to punish Russia. You do not lift sanctions on Russia the day that we discover they're trying to get U.S. troops killed in the Middle East and help Iran kill them. Guys, there's something wrong with this guy. There is something wrong with this guy. Caroline Leavitt, as I said, got asked about it today. A normal White House, Republican or Democrat, would have responded and said, it is outrageous what the Russians are doing. Whatever it is, you criticize them. Caroline Leavitt, it does not really matter. It does not really matter that the Russians are trying to kill American troops in the Middle East. Right? Right? Because, you know why she said it? Because it's Donald Trump. She knows her boss. You don't criticize Russia if you work for Donald Trump. Even when Russia is trying to kill American troops in the Middle East, you don't criticize Russia. Because who comes first? American troops? No, Russia comes first. Right? Make Russia great again. Ground troops. So some disturbing news about possible ground troops moving into the Middle East. So in the last day, we heard that there was a fight going on between Hegseth, the defense secretary, and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, about whether or not we should be moving ground troops in to Iran, basically a land invasion of Iran. Now, the very fact that they're fighting over it means it's being considered, right? If it was something that wasn't even vaguely on the table, they wouldn't be fighting over it, right? It would be like, what's Hegseth talking about? Trump's not going to do ground troops, right? They're fighting over it. Well, we find out today via the Washington Post, the Army in recent days canceled a training exercise for the headquarters element of the 82nd Airborne Division, fueling speculation among soldiers that they may be called upon for a still undefined mission as the war with Iran widens. 82nd Airborne, paratroopers, come in to do a land invasion. That's a little disturbing. Now, a poll by CNN published on Sunday found that 12% of Americans favor sending ground troops to Iran. 12%. 12% of Americans favor sending ground troops. 60% oppose it, 28% unsure. Now, the goals of the war, you'll be shocked to hear that the goals of the war changed again today, and they changed multiple times. We still don't know why we're there. We still don't know what Trump is trying to accomplish. Let's go through some of it. Caroline Leavitt asked what, because Trump has been talking about today's word, right? The secret word today is unconditional surrender. And Caroline Leavitt, the spokeswoman for Trump, and Trump himself kept talking about our goal is Iran's unconditional surrender. So she and Trump started defining unconditional surrender. Listen to this. When he, as commander-in-chief, determines that Iran no longer poses a threat to the U.S. and the goals of Epic Fury have been fully realized, then Iran will essentially be in a place of unconditional surrender, whether they say it or not. So we're going to keep fighting until Iran unconditionally surrenders, and unconditional surrender is defined as when Donald Trump decides that we've achieved our goals. Right? Our goal is to keep fighting until Iran unconditionally surrenders, and that will be defined by Donald Trump when he decides we've met our goal, which is self-defining. There is no, right? They don't know what they're doing, guys. They're making this up. Well, Trump went on today himself and told Axios what his demand of unconditional surrender means. He said, here's my favorite, okay? First of all, Trump's spokeswoman puts out a totally different definition of unconditional surrender that Trump is demanding. Trump now comes out with his own definition, but my favorite is Trump doesn't just give a definition of unconditional surrender that the Iranians must agree to. He gives one possible definition because he's not sure. Listen to this. Trump to Axios. Unconditional surrender could be that the Iranians announce it. Like they say, we unconditionally surrender. But it could also be when they can't fight any longer because they don't have anyone or anything to fight with. So unconditional surrender could be the Iranians saying we unconditionally surrender, or it could be they just can't fight anymore. Of course, because there's no one left to fight. It's a country of 90 million people. I'm going to assume they can fight for a while. God. But you'll be surprised to hear that that's not the only goal we found out today. Regime change is back on the table. So it's not just unconditional surrender. We also want regime change, but we don't at the same time. Listen to this. Trump issued a social media statement saying the war will not end until Iran changes its regime and he picks a new leader. He gets to pick the leader, he said. Iran cannot pick a new Ayatollah unless Donald Trump agrees to the Ayatollah. He said the new Ayatollah had better be somebody who is nice to Israel and nice to America and nice to its neighbors. That was it. Did you notice who he was forgetting about who the new Ayatollahs have to be nice to? The Iranian people. He didn't mention anything about how they're treating the Iranian people. Nothing. Rubio today, Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State, briefed Arab foreign ministers about what's going on with the war and told them our goal is not regime change. Now, mind you, Trump just said our goal was regime change earlier today. Rubio told the Arab ministers our goal is not regime change, while it is clear at the same time. Rubio stated to the Arab ministers that our goal is not regime change. We are not doing this to overthrow the Iranian government, but he also stated that the Iranian government has to be overthrown. It has to be somebody else ready. Our goal is not to change the leaders of the country, but the leaders of the countries have to change or we're going to keep fighting. Guys, it's not, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. We're in the 7th full day of the war. Tomorrow is 1 week. Tomorrow at 2 a.m. We're almost in 1 week. We've almost had 7 days of this war now. Trump still doesn't know why we're there. He still can't define the reason we went in. Remember, they kept changing. It was nukes. It was nuclear fuel. It was IEDs. It was ICBMs. It was they were going to attack Israel. Oh, it was Israel was going to attack them. They can't define what is victory. Right on your birthday, Paula. They can't define what is victory. And they keep doing it several times a day. And if you can't define what victory is, and if you can't define why we're there, guys, this is literally a recipe for what happened. Oh, an imminent threat. That's right. Remember the imminent threat. That was the other. Thank you for bringing that up, Michelle. They kept saying, oh, we went in because of an imminent threat. And my favorite was the new talking point that they all got yesterday was that imminent threat has been going on for 47 years of Iran threatening us. Tom Cotton said it. A number of administration officials said it too. The imminent threat was 47 years of Iran attacking us. And everybody said, it's actually not an imminent threat if it's been going on for 47 years. Like you could not like it, fair enough, but it's not imminent if it's been going on for 47 years. But yeah, if they can't define it, I mean, I'm probably telling you something you hopefully know, right? I mean, I think of like when I do consulting for clients, and I would always sit there and go, I don't know what you want. I don't know what you're asking me to do, and I don't know what you want. And it's like a recipe for doing a very bad project if you, the client, cannot tell me what you want. What do you expect of me? What goals you want me to write a report about what and for what purpose? What are you trying to achieve? It's the best way to not achieve your goal if you have no clue what's going on. Horrible economic numbers. So very, 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 the economic stuff is getting very scary very fast. We're going to have a little bit of a longer discussion about that right now. A number of different subtopics I want to get into. Unemployment, huge problem. Inflation, huge problem. Energy prices, huge problem. This is very bad across the board. Economic numbers. New economic numbers came today for job growth. The experts had expected that the economy was going to grow, I believe, by 60,000 jobs today. Last month, it dropped 92,000 jobs. Instead of creating 60,000 jobs, we lost 90,000 jobs last month. The December numbers were also revised downwards, which was bad. Energy prices, we're going to talk in a second about why they're going bad, but energy prices are now rising significantly. Oil, gasoline, natural gas, jet fuel, that's going to raise our plane prices. Why this is a problem, first of all, I mean, obviously it's a problem, but there's a bigger problem here. Unemployment is now going up. Unemployment rate went up as well, by the way, this morning. Unemployment's going up at the same time that inflation's going up. That is stagflation. This is the nightmare scenario we've been talking about. We were not here yet. We were afraid of it. I don't know that we're fully here yet, but the nightmare is beginning, and the question is whether it continues or not. But here's what the problem is. Businesses are worried about the economy. Businesses are worried about the future. Businesses, therefore, don't hire new people. They don't invest. They don't spend a lot of money on inventory. I mean, just whatever, and training. You don't spend like a family. If you're worried about what's happening with the economy, you spend a little bit less to be safe. Tariffs as well. Thank you, Michelle. You're right. And the tariff problem, sucking money out of the economy, sucking money out of businesses. So you had a situation, first of all, where businesses were cutting back. You've got oil prices, gas prices, natural gas prices going through the roof. You've got just this overall fear of war. You've got unemployment rising this month. You've got inflation rising this month. That is called stagflation. Stagflation is when, thank you, Garden Girl, keep the gifts coming, guys. Stagflation is when unemployment and inflation rise at the same time. Why is it a problem besides just it sucks? It sucks economically, of course. No one likes inflation. No one likes unemployment. But it's a bigger problem. And I've explained this before. I'll explain it again really quickly. The reason you hear the word stagflation being like a thing, meaning unemployment goes up at the same time as inflation, is you can't fight both at once. The tool you need to fight inflation is the same tool you need to fight unemployment, but it goes the opposite way. If we fight inflation, unemployment goes up. If we fight unemployment, inflation goes up. Check this out. You want to fight inflation, you raise interest rates. You want to fight unemployment, you lower interest rates. So if unemployment's rising, lower interest rates. If inflation's rising, raise interest rates. Wait, that's the opposite, right? That's the opposite, right? The problem is the tool we use, which is interest rates, to fix unemployment and to fix inflation, you need the tool to go the opposite direction. It turns the opposite way for inflation versus unemployment, and it actually makes it worse. So for example, inflation starts getting worse. We raise interest rates. That helps get inflation out of the economy. But when you raise interest rates, it screws economic growth. And the economy starts to grow less, unemployment grows. So to address inflation, we have to increase unemployment. If we say, no, let's address unemployment instead. Unemployment's going up, the economy's slowing down, let's juice the economy. Let's juice the economy by lowering interest rates. You lower interest rates, people start borrowing more. Okay, well, guess what happens? You lower interest rates, unemployment goes down, inflation goes through the roof. Very difficult to address inflation and unemployment at the same time. That's why people are so worried. In general, we've been talking about this for months now, but we've been very worried about this. All right, let's go. I mean, there's much more with this. Why are energy prices rising? Because the Strait of Hormuz. I will show you again. I actually should have pulled this up because I think it's worth highlighting this map. Hang on, guys. Google Maps. It is worth highlighting this map. Strait of Hormuz. There we go. Oops. Dropping my pen as I talk to you. All right. So, Strait of Gibraltar? No, not the Strait of Gibraltar. Strait of Hormuz. There we go. All right. So, let's get our handy-dandy map. I will spread it out so you can get a much better sense. Middle East, Africa, Europe. We've got Greece over here, Turkey, here we go. Even more so, right? Italy, Greece, Turkey. We'll zoom in a little. Cyprus, Turkey here, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Iran. Iran's over here. Afghanistan, Russia's up here. Ukraine is up. Where's our little Ukraine's up here. Africa, Egypt, Libya. So you got a lot of different countries. Iran's right here. Now, near to Iran, you've got Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Dubai City, Bahrain, Kuwait. Like all the places that Iran keeps attacking are down here, right? All the neighbors Iran keeps attacking. This is all Iran. This is all Iran. Huge country, okay? Huge country. And they're attacking all their neighbors down here. Here's Iraq. Now, south of Iran, look at the waterway. Look at this waterway south of Iran. The problem is a lot of countries use this waterway to export their oil. Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, you've got Bahrain, Qatar, well, natural gas as well. United Arab Emirates. These countries use this waterway to do their exports, energy exports. 20% of the world's oil goes through this waterway. A lot of the world's natural gas, liquefied natural gas, goes through this waterway. The Iranians have shut it off. Zoom in here. There's this little area you got to go through. Well, this is Iran. This is probably United Arab Emirates. This is Iran. You've got about 10 miles, maybe even 5 miles, because the water's that the boats can go through, the ships, the tankers, to get out. But how do you go through this tight area without the Iranians attacking you? You can't. The Iranians are attacking everybody. They've shut it down. They've shut down the Strait of Hormuz. They have shut down 20% of the world's oil. Exactly, shallow too, from what we've heard. Shut down 20% of the world's oil. When you take, I mean, like anything, it's supply and demand economics. You take away 20% of the supply, and prices go up, right? Imagine you or me. 20% of the coffee disappears. 20% of the toilet paper disappears. We're like, right? So that is why energy prices are going up. Let me give you specifics on that front. U.S. Actually, one other thing. Kuwait. Because of this, Kuwait, for example, has begun cutting production at some oil fields because they can't export the oil. Now, U.S. crude oil prices. U.S. crude oil prices surged above $90 a barrel today, up 13% today alone. U.S. crude oil prices went up 13% in one day, okay? They are up 36% this week. Crude oil prices up 36% this week. Oil prices may go up another 50% to $150. Qatar, one of the oil countries, expects all Gulf energy producers to shut down exports within weeks and drive oil to $150 a barrel, the country's energy minister said. Energy experts are worried. This was from, I believe, CNN. Quote, investors have gone from complacency to the edge of panic, and we are about to have a panic moment, said Bob McNally, a former Bush administration energy advisor. Unless the market believes and sees those tankers are going through the Strait of Hormuz, we are going to blow through $100 a barrel of oil and keep going until we hit a recession. Gasoline prices are going up in America. The U.S. average gasoline price just hit $3.32 a gallon. In America, we measure gasoline prices by gallons. A gallon is 3.8 liters. Easiest way to think of it is 4 liters, but a gallon is 3.8 liters. U.S. gasoline prices are up 11% in the last 5 days. They are now higher than at any time during either of Trump's terms. Some experts are saying that gasoline prices could jump another 20% in the next 2 weeks, bringing the average national gas price to $4 in just the next 2 weeks. And one expert I saw today with Gas Buddy on CNN a minute ago just said those prices will continue to rise so long as the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Now, let me remind you of something. The Pentagon also said apparently today that it expects the war to go through September. That's 7 more months. If the war goes through September, Iran has every incentive to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed through September. 7 months of prices going up. Prices have already gone up 11% for gasoline. Jet fuel has doubled in price. I mean, the European natural gas prices went up like 50% yesterday. Prices are going to go up a lot. And when fuel prices go up, yeah, guess what? We pay everything that gets transported with fuel, airplanes, passengers, tickets, food that gets farmers, food that goes on delivery trucks, everything that involves fuel will get more expensive as a result. More on that. Air travel is about to get more expensive. On Friday, spot prices for jet fuel were nearly $4 a gallon, up roughly 80% from a month ago. According to Bloomberg, jet fuel accounts for 30% of air carrier operating costs. 30% of the cost that an airplane or air company has to pay to fly jets, 30% of their costs are fuel. So if the fuel price doubles, or 80% to 100%, that means ticket prices, you're looking at a 15% increase. Well, would it be 15% or would it be more than that? I'm not even sure if it would be more than that, but it would be at least 15%. United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby said today that fare increases will, quote, probably start quick. So United Airlines is already talking about increasing fares almost immediately. Interview on Thursday with Reuters. This was bad. Trump got asked about gas prices, energy prices. Listen to what he said. Interview on Thursday with Reuters, Trump suggested that the military operation in Iran was his priority and he was willing to tolerate a rise in prices. Quote, they'll drop, meaning prices, they'll drop very rapidly when this is over. And if they rise, they rise. But this is far more important than having gasoline prices go up a little bit, he said. Yeah, because he has like a fleet paid for by the taxpayers. He doesn't have to pay gasoline prices. Trump added today about oil prices and gasoline prices. That's all right. It'll be short term. It'll go down very quickly. But the Pentagon said this war is going through September. The war is going for 7 more months. If gasoline prices are going to go through the roof, if energy prices are going through the roof, if grocery prices are going through the roof, right? If airline prices are going through the roof for the next 7 months, that is not quick. 7 months of this. And also, will they go down again later? Right? I mean, you know how this goes, right? Thank you, Just Max, for the gift there. I want to mention this really quick. There are reports that the Trump administration did not start looking for ways to calm the oil and gas markets. Thank you, Marie. Keep it coming, guys. The Trump did not look at ways to calm the oil and gas markets until days after the bombing began. They bombed Iran. They waited 3 or 4 days, and then the White House started thinking, hey, maybe we should start thinking about what we can do about energy prices to keep them down. Now, they planned this war for months. They should have been planning what to do about energy prices back then, the same way they should have planned about what to do with all the 300,000 U.S. citizens in the Middle East who were trapped, and they didn't care about them until after they invaded, right? But even after they invaded, they didn't do anything about energy prices. It took them until like day 3 or 4 or 5 to finally say, hey, you know, Iran could shut down all the oil. That would cause prices to go up. Let me tell you this too, by the way, anybody who's too young to know this or whatever. The idea that Iran would shut down the Strait of Hormuz and energy prices would go through the roof is dogma. Everybody knows that's what Iran was going to do. It was why, I mean, they've tried it before. We knew they were going to do it. So the idea isn't like, oh, how could anybody have known that Iran was going to shut down the oil exports and prices would go through the roof? We all knew that. The Trump people, I don't know, I really don't know why. Thank you. They just didn't do anything about it. Another thing Trump screwed up. You might have read that in order to get tankers going through the Strait of Hormuz, Trump promised the United States will guarantee the insurance so that there will be sufficient insurance for the tankers to go through. Two problems. One, if you're getting blown up with missiles, insurance doesn't help. Insurance helps your boss get the money back once you're dead. Insurance doesn't really help you. Tankers do not want to go through the Strait of Hormuz, even if they've got sufficient insurance, because they're getting blown up and killed. So the tankers aren't moving. Second problem, we find out today, Trump promised this whole insurance program. He didn't have any money. He's only got half the money he needs to do the insurance program for the Strait of Hormuz, so the program just died. Because Trump did what Trump always does. He pulls it out of his ass, he lies, he doesn't go to Congress, and he proposed a whole program that doesn't exist because he was bullshitting. So again, there are real world repercussions for electing somebody who is a blithering idiot as president of the United States. And this is Hillary Clinton said this in 2016. She said that 3 a.m. phone call, right? That 3 a.m. phone, when the president is asleep and the phone rings and there is a disaster, what are you going to do? Who do you want answering that phone at 3 in the morning when the world is blowing up? Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump? Well, this is what happens when you elect Donald Trump. The phone is off the hook and Trump is going, ooh. What else do we have here? U.S. Central Command, we talked about that. Iran terrorism in the U.S. Oh, God, this was another quote from Trump, another horrific quote from Trump. Actually, we have a lot of news, but we're getting through it quickly. I'm very surprised, actually. Listen to this from Trump. So Trump gets asked, are you concerned about retaliatory attacks at home? Are you concerned about Iran launching terrorist attacks on American soil? Trump's answer, I guess. He continues. I know I'm speaking quick. I had a coffee before the show because I was tired, and it's making me speak more quickly. Sorry about that. So Trump gets asked, are you concerned about Iranian hit squads, like blowing up Americans on American soil and terrorist attacks? I guess. But I think they're worried about that all the time. We think about it all the time. We plan for it. But yeah, we expect some things. Like I said, some people will die. When you go to war, some people will die. I know I should get the wig. Some people will die. He guesses he's worried about Iranian terrorism on American soil. But guys, some people will die. When you go to war, some people will die, like he said. So, hey, by the way, he's not the one who's going to be in trouble because he's got security that you and I are paying for. So he's okay. Had a Democrat said this? Had a Democrat said about inflation that, oh, well, prices rise, what do you do? Right? Prices rise, what do you do? I mean, that's it, right? And then said about Iranian terrorist attacks on American soil, said, well, people die. I mean, you get it. Yeah, you get it. U.S. military believes that U.S. forces were likely responsible for the attack on the girls' school in Iran that may have killed 160 or more young girls. It could have been an AI targeting error. That's one of the things being discussed because the Trump people used AI to basically pick a ton of their targets. Nobody knows, but increasingly looking like we may have done it. Trump is closing multiple U.S. embassies. Somebody made a really good point about this. I've been mentioning the last day or two that Trump is closing at least 3 embassies, U.S. embassy in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Lebanon, Beirut. And the discussion was, well, he's closing the embassies because they're afraid of attacks on our diplomats. Somebody pointed out a really good point, which is embassies don't close until the citizens are evacuated. You close the embassy after the last citizen is out. Trump is closing our embassies when we've only evacuated a few thousand people. We had 300,000 Americans that Trump did nothing to get out. Trump did no preparation to get the Americans out of there. No preparation at all. We attacked. He still did nothing. They waited until Monday night Saturday morning we attack, right? Nothing. Saturday morning we attack. Trump does nothing. Monday night, we finally hear from Trump and the State Department that Americans should get out. 48 hours after we attack, actually 3 days after we attack, and they say there's nothing we can do to help you. They should have been planning that for months. They weren't. Now they're closing embassies when there's still hundreds of thousands of Americans stuck in the Middle East, but they're closing the embassy and leaving when the Americans are still there trying to get out. You don't do that. Normal presidents don't do that. He's doing it. Republicans don't do it. Democrats don't do it. He's doing it. What a freaking surprise. Trump Department of Justice. Great. So, by the way, in case you were looking for more regime change, the Trump today repeatedly talked again about attacking Cuba. The Trump Department of Justice, we found out today, is looking to press charges against the Cuban leaders, Department of Justice, because this is what they did with Maduro. Before we invaded Venezuela, we pressed charges against Maduro. They want to press charges against the Cuban leaders so we can invade. And Trump again talked about invading Cuba today. They're planning another war. I mean, I have no sympathy for any of these people. The Cubans, Cuban government, horrible. Venezuelan government, horrible. By the way, the Venezuelan government, he left the horrible people in charge. He now considers them his best friends. Venezuela is still run by a Marxist dictatorship. They're still oppressing their people, but they're paying Trump off, so it's okay. I mean, so that's the other problem. He's not going to liberate these people at all. But with Cuba, we're now planning an invasion of Cuba too. It's what it sounds like. Do you know how expensive this is? The war, I was reading today, the war with Iran, they're saying, is costing us around $1 to $2 billion a day. 1 to 2. The current plan by the Pentagon is to at least go through end of September. That's $200 billion to $400 billion on this war is the current plan, at least. 200 to 400 billion, okay? The Obamacare money that got killed, it was, I want to say, 25 billion a year, I think. But the Obamacare subsidies that Trump refused to continue. So my health insurance may be going up $4,000 this year for my health insurance because of Trump. Wouldn't pay for that. 25 billion, 10 times, 10 to 20 times the amount of money he's going to spend on this war. And we got another war coming in Cuba, which is going to cost the same thing. Okay. Polling. Let's talk about some polling, and then we'll open this up. War polls still terrible. This is the worst ever support for any American president starting a war. The average of the polls is just 38. So the average of all the war polls, 38% of Americans support the war, 49% disapprove. Now, interesting point here, because generally speaking, presidents do very well at the beginning of a war. We go in for military action. The American people rally. The most famous example I give is George Bush. George Bush, the father. George H.W. Bush. That was the good guy. He was bad at domestic policy, great at foreign policy. 1991, invades Iraq to liberate Kuwait, and did. Very good job, very good war. Important war, necessary war, effective war. Bush was disliked. He was ignoring the economy at home. He was always into foreign policy. He goes and invades Iraq. The year before the election, 1991, goes and invades Iraq. His popularity jumps to like 90%. 90%, right? The next year, his popularity drops to 40% or so, and he loses the election. When we go to war, very often American presidents get a significant bump in the polls. Trump isn't getting it. 38% of the American people support the war. Let's talk about approval rating, right? George Bush's approval went to 91% when he invaded Iraq. Donald Trump attacked Iran. Guess what his latest approval number is? 32%. Disapproval, 67%. Oh, but it gets better. Trump's approval of 32%. Guess who put out the poll today? Guess. It's a Fox News poll. So it's not even, oh, it's CNN, like they can disagree, whatever. It's a Fox News poll. 32% of Americans approve of Donald Trump, 67% disapprove. We are at war. We just invaded Iran. He should be soaring in the polls. He's not soaring in the polls. Generic fall ballot. So final poll is the ballot for the congressional elections coming up at the end of the year. Democrats are at +4. They should be at better. It's kind of goofy. The American people are looking at Democrats and Republicans right now and saying that generically, who would you vote for in the congressional elections? Democrats, actually it says +4, but then the number I've got here is Democrats 48, Republicans 42. I may have written it down. I believe it's 48. It is 48-42. That's a +6. So Democrats 48, Republicans 42. In December, Republicans were ahead by 10 points. Americans picked Republicans in December to be by 10 points, by 10 percentage points. They wanted Republicans more than Democrats in Congress. January 17th, Republicans were ahead by 5 points over the Democrats. February 22nd, Democrats ahead by 4 points. Today, Democrats ahead by 6 points. Very interesting. I know I keep saying Iraq. Sorry, guys. I do keep saying Iraq. I mean Iran. All right, that is it for the news. Let's hang out and chat. That went through quickly. Maybe because I was doing my, like I said, I was doing my my coffee. I had coffee before the show because I was tired because I got up early to work on this stuff this morning, and it made me very tired. Oops, hang on. There we go. Adjusting my cameras. I know, you know what I mean, but I do keep saying Iraq. I know I either catch myself or I don't even notice it and you guys catch it, so sorry about that. All right. No, I did a regular Nespresso. Oh, man. I don't need much product in my hair. I actually got that at my doctor's office. She goes, "How do you get your hair to do that?" And I said, "It just does that." Oh, I missed a cute corgi gift. I'm sorry. Thank you, Flower Lady. Let me see here. Who did a cute corgi? Oh, there it is. Blue. Thank you, Blue. Appreciate that. Sorry about that. You know how it is, like when I look the wrong way or at my notes or whatever, I missed the gift, so sorry about that. Oh, thank you, Max. Just Max is getting a goat scream. Pick your goat, Max. We've got small goat, big goat, Halloween goat, Christmas goat, and yodeling pickle, which is not a goat, but still part of the Halloween goat. Okay. I know. I do think Halloween goat is the most fun because he's got the most like wicked sound considering we're talking about such bad news. One more time. Yeah, Stephen Miller goat. Exactly. But it's like, I have to get more sound effects. I had one of those a while ago, thank you again, Max, one of those soundboards for my iPad. And I didn't get rid of it, but I forgot, it was a free soundboard. And I need to get it for the show because I could use it like for this. As long as I pull stuff up, I can hit the little button. But I told you there is one on here with you guys, but I don't even know that it's loud enough to even hear. Oh, I don't know if you can even hear that though. See, they could hear that on YouTube. I don't know if you could hear. I don't know whether you could hear that. Oh God! Stop! All right, wait. Oh, can you hear it? Oh, but my voice is in the background. It's playing my voice though. See, the problem is I've got to turn it off because you can hear my voice at the same time, which is not good. Oh, Angelique! Woo! Uh-oh, that's a UN story. Oh, Angelique just did a very generous gift on TikTok. Thank you, darling, for that. Oh man, now I'm gonna have to think of a UN story. Guys, it's hard. I need to go through my thank you. I want to thank you, Teabags. Oh, that's a very cool gift. I've never seen that before. Uh-oh. Help me out, mods. Either it's a UN story that I've already said, or if there's one that I can come up with. Let me do my UN story first. Oh, no, t'es gentil. What's a good UN story? Mods, help me out here that I've talked about. Because I'm trying to think of like other ones. Well, I told you they all got drunk. Actually, the one I'll tell again because it sort of explains what a horrific human being my boss was. I worked at the United Nations for 2 years. Thank you, Mel. And by the way, for everybody on TikTok who knows, we have some of the gifts on TikTok has set up where if you do certain gifts, this up here, you do, the host does something in response to a gift. So one of the gifts we have is the really generous gift, which Angelique just did, which I've got to tell a story of my nightmare job at the United Nations. So excuse a quick tangent, but we will talk about the nightmare job at the United Nations. So I go to work at the United Nations, horrible job, working for a horrible boss, head of communications. She is at United Nations Development Program back in 2015, horrible woman. And I get invited to a weekend, what do you call it? Not recruit, what's it called? Retreat with the communications office. I haven't started working there yet. I start in a month, but she wanted me to meet all the staff. So I go there and I meet all the staff. They're lovely, about like 100 people, just lovely people. And my boss asks me and goes, oh, so, and she was like, always like this, like, oh, so tell me, what do you think? Have you met people? I said, yes. She goes, what do you think? I said, oh my God, they're so nice. I said, they've just been lovely. I said, it's been so interesting. She goes, what do you mean? And this was typical of her. Literally, it reminds me of like those, take my wife, please, like stories about guys in their marriages where they can't say anything right. What do you think of the staffers? And I said, they're amazing, the nicest people. What do you mean? I said, what do you mean? What do I mean? Well, you sound surprised. Why are you surprised? I said, I'm not surprised. I just happy. And then in my head, I'm going, oh God, because she was a horrific human being, always bitchy, always angry, always pissy. And so in my head, I'm going, I said, well, I guess I'm used to working at nonprofits and things where people are so friendly and outgoing, but I was thinking this was more government where people aren't as friendly. So it surprised me. She goes, oh, so you were surprised because you thought it would be government that isn't as friendly. Okay, that makes sense. I'm like, you're kind of going, phew. Then hires me in a month, or I come back on 2 weeks into the job. Thank you, Teabags. 2 weeks into the job, she goes, okay, so now you've met a lot of people in the building. What do you think? And I said, they've been very interesting. I said, I've been very impressed. I said, smart people, very committed, just very intelligent, very interesting people. I kid you, my boss, head of communications, UNDP. This is the second time you've said something like this, that you've expressed surprise. Thank you, Luis. At the people you're working around here. And I'm very concerned about this. Oh, God. And this is when I should have just said FUB. My generation doesn't do that. My generation doesn't tell you to go F off. I really should have said, you're bordering on harassment right now and bullying. Or I should have said, I don't know what the hell you're even talking about. But guys, you literally say this to your boss. I sometimes wonder if it's a guy thing. Yeah, remind me kind of hard when I'm done. I don't know if it's a guy thing versus women, because I'll end here. One of the other things she would do to me, she would do the bullshit. What did she do? She did the bullshit. We were in a meeting with her, and I couldn't understand what the fuck she was talking about. And I finally asked my coworkers afterwards, and they were like, we have no idea. And she says to me in some meeting, she goes, I said, Mila, I just don't understand what you're asking. The problem is, you're not listening. And is this a chick thing, as we say in Chicago, or what? Because as a guy, that sentence makes no sense. As a man, that makes no sense at all. She goes, because you're not listening. Mind you, I'd been sitting there for an hour taking notes, trying to understand what the fuck she was talking about. And I finally asked the other guys later, they had no clue. And I said, no, I've been listening very carefully. I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't understand what you want. Because you're here, but you're not listening. I don't even, it's not a gender thing, thank God. Okay, because I literally, all I could think of was, is this like, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, with that book, Deborah Tanning, or what was her name, or Tanner, 1990s or 1980s, 1990s, who wrote a really famous book about men and women communicating differently. No, the other thing I did learn about her, by the way, she's a mom, and she treated us like her obnoxious children. She was always a bitchy, mean, pestering, bullying mom to us. And it was a toxic mom thing to say, but I also simply had no idea what the fuck she was talking about. Does anybody know, what does that even mean? And again, she was harassing. And because we couldn't stand up to her, and I needed to stand up to her and go, and unfortunately what you need to do with bosses like that, but again, I had moved to New York City. right? What do? You risk losing your job, and you're in New York City. You moved. You had to pay a year's rent in advance, or not to pay it, but you have the contract. And I really wanted to just say to her, that answer is insufficient. That I am a lawyer, I am a linguist, I am a journalist. I've written for The Economist, among others. I use English well, probably better than anybody in this room. And that sentence made no sense. There is no such thing as not listening. I was not playing computer games. You need to tell me what you're talking about. I speak English fluently. I don't understand what you're saying. And telling me I'm not listening is a non-answer. It's non-responsive. And it frankly comes, like you said, comes across as bullying. Because I don't know whether you don't know what you're talking about and you're embarrassed. You can't say that to her, right? But my God, you're not listening. It is such a, but she was a freaking horrific human being. Horrific. Yeah, I'm sorry your childhood was so toxic. That would have been a great answer, saying, right, you're not listening. Just looking at her going, I'm really sorry your childhood was so toxic. Oh my God. All right. So that's the UN gift. Thank you for the UN gift. That's my UN story. No, it was the most horrific work experience of my life. I have never, ever had anything it was a year of bullying. And she's incredibly lucky we were not in the private sector, because I did hire a lawyer and it went well. And it would have gone even better had we been in the private sector. And she is in the private sector, and boy, she better be careful in the private sector. She ever gets sued, I get subpoenaed. What do you do? Or not subpoenaed, but I ever get, I get called up to testify. What do you do? They don't want to hear my testimony if she gets sued for harassment on the job. I got to tell you that. Anyway, all right. Back to this. So, kind-hearted. I think you had some questions. Other people, a number of you had questions. What's going on? A character witness, exactly. So anyway, guys, having for dinner now. Kind-hearted says, would making pipelines on NATO or allied countries and pump it instead of using the canal help reduce cost? Well, you don't have NATO countries. One thing, for example, I know this must have been talked about, but I wonder why they don't make a canal across Oman, for example, right? Well, first of all, you could make a canal all the way across Saudi Arabia. That might be a bit expensive. Could you make it across UAE and Oman and cut over, could you cut over here and go across Oman to come out here? I don't know whether that's another way of getting away from the Iranians. I just don't know. Now, that would be very expensive, but it might be worth it, and they've got a lot of money. Maybe there's reasons, other mountains. Okay, I was going to say there must be some reason you can't do it, Well, actually, this is showing mountains in the north, though. It's showing mountains in the north. It's not showing mountains down here, but I don't know what's here and whether you could cut through, like here. You know what I mean? But it's costly, but, look what you've got happening now, right? It's pretty bad. How did Turkey get into NATO? Well, North Atlantic. Greece is not North Atlantic either. If you don't consider Turkey North Atlantic, then Greece isn't either, right? So if you look at it that way, Now Turkey has a very large military, very strong military, large population, Middle Eastern country, Islamic country. So there's a lot of potential benefits to Turkey being in NATO. There's also a lot of potential negatives. It's huge. It's Islamic. It's Middle East. It could go evil. Turkey goes Islamist, fundamentalist, and we're in trouble. But the Greece-Turkey situation, there's an argument that maybe Turkey is more peaceful if they're in NATO, or maybe Turkey's more peaceful if they're not in NATO because NATO defends Greece. So I don't know. But Turkey is in a very good geographical position, as Jens says. That is true. They've got a giant army, but but they're a little scary. I mean, they're getting a little more Islamist every day. I did work in Congress. I worked for a U.S. senator years ago. And Turkey's a little too friendly to the Russians. This is true. This is true. You're not listening. Oh my God. I swear to God. I swear to God. I did screw her in the end. Like I said, I hired a lawyer, which was quite fun. But thank you, Julie. But damn, I'm not scared of Islam. I am scared of fundamentalist Islam. Iran, perfect example. Turkey, benign Islam, great. Albania, woo-woo. Iran, woo-woo. Saudi Arabia, woo. Right? So, that's what you should be afraid of. Turkey decides to go fundamentalist and we're in trouble. Yeah, Christians and Catholics can be bad too. They can. What else, guys? What else? Paula, that's, I have no idea what are you talking about? No idea. What was announced? What else, guys? Cubans have lots of weapons. Well, the Cubans are interesting, though. Cuba's in trouble because they don't have any fuel left. So even if they've got a big military and a lot of weapons, they don't have any fuel because the U.S. cut off Venezuela. So the Cubans are in a massive fuel crisis. A military can't operate without gas, without diesel fuel, without energy. So the Cuban military is actually in a lot of trouble. I was watching something about that today. That there was actually an expert on CNN's bureau chief. CNN's bureau chief in Havana said basically, if the Trump people were to invade, the Cubans would probably have to surrender because they can't defend themselves. They have no more energy. It was kind of wild to hear him say it. I was like, holy crap, that was crazy. Thank you. And who's that? No, thank you, Stormy. Appreciate that. They have Russia as a friend, but I mean, other than giving intelligence and satellite imagery to get us killed, look at what are the Russians doing to help the Iranians? Nothing. What are the Russians? I mean, they're giving them intelligence to help kill us. That's something. But otherwise, nothing. What did the Russians do to save the Syrians? Nothing. What did the Russians do to save the Venezuelans? Their huge ally in South America? Nothing. Russians can't do much. The Russians are overstretched. Now, the danger is what Trump keeps doing, especially with Iran, and if Cuba's next, what happens if China decides to invade Taiwan and the U.S. doesn't have enough weapons and enough money to fight the war and enough troops? Then it gets interesting. So I don't know if China's giving Iran weapons. Not that I know of. Now, that's let me ask a larger question. That's an interesting question, larger. Hold on a second here. Let's see. With regards to the war in Iran, what is China's role overall with Iran in terms of military relations? Are there any kind of weapons sales, military support, anything like that between China and Iran?
China's military ties with Iran.
Oops, sorry, go on.
No worries. If you've got something new on your mind, or if you just want to...
No, go ahead. I cut you off. Keep going.
Oh, I see. I'm all ears. Go ahead and continue with what you were saying.
No, I asked you about China. Answer my question.
I'm happy to answer. Just let me know exactly what your question about China is, and we'll dive right into it.
My question was the military relationship between China and Iran, and whether now that Iran has been attacked by the U.S., is there anything that China is doing to help them? Is China selling them weapons, giving them any kind of support militarily?
China has condemned... China is not providing direct military support to Iran after the US attack. While China condemned the strikes and called for dialogue, it is sticking to diplomatic statements rather than military action. China has long-term ties with Iran, but at the moment, it is acting as a cautious broker, avoiding direct involvement and focusing on stability.
Okay, I mean, that wasn't much of an answer, but it kind of confirmed which we already pretty much knew. Yeah, that AI is not a threat. honestly, that was like, okay, having some issues there. Well, no, I asked about China, Paula. That's Russia. That's providing the intelligence about our warships and stuff. That's Russia. We know that. That's all over the news here. Yeah, that was the one where the White House got asked about it. Russia's providing intelligence to the Iranians to kill U.S. troops, and the White House was asked about it and said, doesn't matter. Not only doesn't matter, the White House today lifted partial sanctions on Russia so they could sell more oil and gas and make more money. The sanctions on them because of Ukraine. The day that it was found that the Russians are helping the Iranians kill American troops, the White House lifted partial sanctions, and our Treasury Secretary Bessent said they're considering lifting even more sanctions on the Russians. Yeah. And refused to criticize the Russians for trying to get American troops killed. La 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 la. La 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 la. So, yeah. Yep, that's why it's Trump, right? It's Trump. Because there's something creepy between Trump and Putin. I mean, that's why. I mean, as we all know, he's not just spineless. I think it's more than that, Chazak. It's not spine. It's who's your daddy, right? Putin's his daddy. I mean, that's what it is. It's not spineless, I don't think. It's, who controls you? Putin. The pentagram. Anyway, what else, guys? What else? Oops, Sasha's up and walking around. Hey, you, what's up? She had kind of a bad day. I mean, walking, but kind of a difficult day walking today. So, my new bed mattress came today. I'm excited about that. So, and of course, I made the bed before putting. I had like a sheet I put to protect the mattress for the dog, but also it's if you got a mattress that you might return if you try it out, because you can return it up to a year. I want to put a protective sheet on it forgot to put it on. Fix the bed perfectly, all the layers, and then I remembered the protective sheet I've got is in the washer, and I was like, fuck. So I'm gonna have to strip it and put it all back tonight. It's like, oh, what do you do? Anyway, what else? Yeah, my background. Well, my background is fun because the background view, you are seeing the reflection of my apartment in my window, because I've got a really nice. I've set up the lights really nicely here. Nice. I like it that way, at least. I like my. I did it for the show, but I also did it for myself because at night that's my lighting that I watch TV. I turn the lights down and it's like blue and red, and it looks really nice. But it reflects in the window, which makes it look like sunsets and stuff. Which people are always like, "Oh, the sunset looks nice," because it looked. But you're actually seeing the light behind my TV there reflecting. But it is nice though. Yeah, it does look like a sunset. Well, as I said, it wasn't really the plan. Now the only problem is the clocks change this weekend here in America, which means starting next week, I'm going to have to close my curtains for the show, which sucks, So because the sun sets behind me, and so for the next, the next 6 months, we're going to have to, I'm going to have the curtains closed. I did get the Sattva, yeah, which kind of sucks. Just because I like the curtains are kind of ugly and I like the reflection, so. This is the last view you're going to get of the lights on TikTok, at least. Yeah, my Christmas cactus, that Christmas cactus has been going for 30 years. So I've even trimmed it, Of course I have my piece of the Berlin Wall. Are you kidding? Oh, yeah. Of course. It's in the cabinet. I can do show and tell another time. But yeah, I just got a Sattva mattress, so. That should be, knock on wood. Hopefully it's good. I mean, highly recommended. So, the reviews were good. I did find one thing. Did I tell you this? My Sattva mattress, some company Sattva. But I went and looked via Wirecutter, which is the New York Times reviews. And the price was like $1,100 or so. Maybe it was $200 tax. Or it was like $1,100 or $1,200 $1,300 with tax, I think. And I went like via Google, it was $1,800. I went via some other website, $1,500. I was like, wait a minute, what is this? And I basically, what I found was they charge different prices depending where you come from, but between like $1,100 or $1,200 and $1,800. So I went back to Wirecutter and it was back to like $1,200 again. I was like, okay, but kind of scary because that's something I would have never even considered, was which way you come to a company, they charge you a different amount. I mean, it was insane, absolutely insane. Oh, you were 15 and went to Berlin in 1989? Oh, that's very cool, very cool. So for a mattress, yeah. Mattresses are not cheap anymore. I was looking at cheap mattresses for like 900, well, 800, and I would have had to pay like an extra 100 to get rid of my box spring. So 800 and, around 900. Instead I got, mine ended up being 1,300, which I wasn't happy, but what do you do? Everything I was looking at, I mean, good luck finding a mattress for $500 that's any good. And my back's been a mess for 9 months. So I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't buy a shitty mattress. You know what I mean? So what do you do? It's hard though. I mean, mattresses are hard to pick, obviously. Yeah, I've had a topper, but again, my back has been a disaster for like 9 months. So I was like, you know what? Maybe, like I said, maybe it's time. Oh no, I paid $500 15 years ago, but it was 15 years ago, So, oh, that's right. The time change, the good thing with the time change is, which way does this go? The good thing with the time change is this is the easy way for the dog, because in the morning, she'll wake up at 8 o'clock, which is actually going to be the new spring ahead, the new 9 o'clock. So it's actually good. She's going to wake up late and she's going to go to bed late and she's going to want to eat an hour later. So actually the time change is good for me this time. The time change is bad when you do it the other way, unfortunately. So, you all right, you? Anyway. Yeah, the warranty is great. They're one thing I liked about this Sattva thing is they give you a year. If you, within a year, you can return the mattress, but you have to pay $99. But I was like, you know what? A year, that's pretty damn good. Sasha is 16. She's over 16 now. So, but she's just, unfortunately, just starting to get old stuff. Like she's not walking as well and stuff. I feel bad, I mean, she's still okay. She's not that sick, but the walking is getting harder. So it's just, I just feel bad. But she's 16. What do you do? I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was like, "Your dog is around 88 to 92 years old." And I was like, "No." I mean, I'd say, hard to say. She could be though. She could be 86, 88. I'd say, or like they were doing really well till 86, 88, and then they started having some problems. That's kind of where she is. I do not know what that is, Carmen. The dog is 2 years younger than you. In human years, you mean, or in dog years? Like, are you 18 or are you 90? What, sweet potatoes for the dog, you mean? I do give her 20. I do give Mads, thank you for that. What do you think of permanently moving to daylight savings time? BC and Canada just did it. Oh, that's California too. I think it's stupid to keep changing the time. I think it's absolutely stupid to be changing the time. I don't get, I mean, I guess, they always say farmers or whatever the hell it was. I mean, first of all, generally speaking, I don't know, maybe for people who go to work in the morning, but generally speaking, I would rather have it dark in the morning and light at night. Because I think, you come home from work, and wouldn't it be nice when you come home from work to have an extra hour of daylight? I just think that's nice, right? And in the winter, instead of, for us, the sun sets at 4:30, 4:45. I can't remember in Washington. I can't remember anymore. 4:30, give or take, in the middle of winter. The sun sets. 5:30 would be much better. It's just better. You could be leaving work in the winter, and at least you might actually have sunlight. Yeah, I think the time change is stupid. And it's just it's confusing with the rest of the world. If you've got dogs or babies, it's a pain in the ass. It messes your sleep, right? If kids, I mean, yeah, the safety of kids, they would say, except now, right, it used to be safety of kids, but now when I was a kid, we would start school at like 8:40 in the morning, 8:40 or 8:50 in the morning. Now these kids are, hello, I know, hi. Now these kids are starting school at like 7 o'clock. My nephew was telling me 7 a.m. or something crazy. They were starting school. At my high school, I was like, 7 a.m.? He goes, yeah. I was like, my God, we started at like 8:45. I mean, crazy stuff, I can't even imagine getting to school at 7 a.m. Whew. So granted, you get to school but if you get to school at 7 a.m., it's dark anyway. So in the winter, it's not going to be light out, 6:55. That's insane. Absolutely insane. I'm guessing there's some kind of study. There must have been some kind of study that for the kids, maybe it tires out the kids and makes them behave better in school all day. I don't know. Because to me, 7 a.m. is sickening. Like I said, ours we'd start by 9 a.m. We had an open campus, which meant you could leave for lunch because I lived a couple blocks away. So I hear you. So we would leave for lunch, which was great. If you had like a study period or something, if you booked your study period at the end of the day, you could just leave. So I had 1 year that maybe my study period was the last either 1 or 2 study periods. I was able to leave at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd get to school at 9 and leave at 1:30 or 2. It was like, yes. But they don't do that anymore, unfortunately. There's a study that elementary school kids should go to school earlier. Older kids start later. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. 1 a.m. in Copenhagen. Thank you, Angelique. Merci encore. Is that? Oh, that's a wig. Oh, that's a Trump wig. I still don't even know. I still don't know all the gifts. That was a Trump wig gift. I'm here for another. We're at the end of the show, but since Angelique just did a Trump wig gift, we will do a Trump wig for a minute while we're letting the gift ripen, so to speak. Thank you for that. Otherwise, we're almost at 7:15, guys. Tomorrow morning, remember, we've got our coffee talk at 11 a.m. That's our hangout at 11 a.m. So join me then. For any of the paid monthly subscribers, as a thank you, I do an extra show Saturday morning. So thank you for that. I may do shows this weekend because the war is the war. I'll do videos at least. I may do shows. We'll see. Because if there's war updates. Or at the very least, I'll do some updates. Do follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Substack, everywhere else. So at least we can, you can sort of get updates there. But I should be doing some small, the smaller updates at least. Yeah, the farmer thing was the thing until dawn. The farmer thing was the big excuse for what. Actually, the wig looks okay today. Today I've got it on just the right angle that looks okay. I still do need to get that brush. I've got to get the brush. All right. No. The problem is guys, it's just exhausting. Like, I wasn't even doing weekend. I was doing weekend shows. Then I lost my voice the first year, stopped doing weekend shows, then started doing a Saturday show because of the paid subscribers, because I have to do this. I'm doing this for a living. I had to find a way of giving a value to people to subscribe. So I was doing a Saturday show. I can't do 2 Saturday shows. It's too much. Yeah. But I mean, with the war going on, there is a chance. Wig does not look okay. There's a chance with the Saturday show, with the war going on, that I'll do a show anyway. We'll see. We shall see. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. The thing I've got to figure out is some kind of a brush or something for that. That's the thing I've got to figure out. So we shall see. I like my wig. Don't be mean to my wig. The wig does not look okay. I love my wig. Yeah, I know. Special military operation. The Trump people. What do they call it? The Trump people came up with their own term to call the. I know, the rash, exactly. To call the special military operation. I forgot. I think the wig does. It's a funny wig. Yeah, it's a funny wig. All right, guys, I'm going to go. It's 7:15. We're trying to keep the show to an hour and 15 minutes because my voice is getting ratchety again since I've been doing multiple shows this week. I didn't do one earlier for that reason, earlier today, just to be safe. But I will see you guys tomorrow who are the paid monthly subscribers. Otherwise, I may go live tomorrow. Let's see what's going on with the news. Let's see. If there's enough news, I'll go live. There may or may not be. But as I said, I'll at least do some updates tomorrow. I think I'll at least do I've been trying every day to do a big morning a wrap, like a 3 or 4 minute morning wrap of the latest. Like today I did a 5-minute one on TikTok. People like it. I mean, it was good. So just kind of, I sort of cull the news in bed for an hour or two, or an hour in bed, and do a bunch of clippings and then pull them together into a script and then do like a 5-minute morning update. But people on TikTok have really been liking it. So I will at least probably do that tomorrow. So we'll see. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Have a good evening. Oh. Miss Thing over here. You can't see it over there. Take that. YouTube and everybody's got her. She's looking. She sees me moving. She knows here. Oh my. Okay, I hear you. All right. She knows we're getting to the end of the show, and she's sitting here bitching at me. I see you. Hello. I hear you. Okay. I'm getting the. Sasha did get a haircut about a week ago. Yeah. All right. Discord. I'm going to hang up on you first. Thank you, Discord folks. Thanks, Amanda. Amanda. You're just going to be Amanda. I keep calling Amanda. The rest of you guys, thank you, Substack, YouTube, Discord, TikTok, you're last. Have a good night, guys. See some of you tomorrow.